Another book that's come out in a new edition in recent years is one by one of the great doyens of Reformed New Testaments theology and scholarship, and that's Richard Gaffin, who's retired now from Westminster Seminary. But I love this book, By Faith Not By Sight, Paul and the Order of Salvation. It's a fairly brief book, but it's packed with really good discussion of Paul's theology. What's really helpful, I think, with Gaffin's work is he, in a very gracious way, interacts with different views on Paul, and yet you can see that he's a real theological heavyweight himself. And so that even though sometimes he expresses himself very concisely, there's a whole train of thought behind it, which is really helpful. The other good thing too is that he's a great biblical theologian. And yet, as you can see in the title, he's bringing in systematic categories of thought as well. So he's dealing with the order of salvation, and classically we mean by that the sort of logical steps in our salvation, from election to calling to justification, adoption, and on to glorification. So he deals with them, but he deals with them in the unfolding of redemptive history in the letters of Paul. And so he's able then to deal with really important issues about how we can neglect sanctification when we're talking about justification, or how do we talk about justification and final judgment? How do we talk about Paul and the Old Testament, in particular Paul and the law? All of these really important issues that vex a lot of Pauline theology, but it's great to have a really sober, sane voice in all of that. And I think it's a wonderful introduction to the study of theology as a whole, as well as Paul. And that's what you find when you're reading Paul, is you start thinking in terms of theology as a whole. And so I think he's a great guide to that.